Well, I've got to let you know if you're part of our Sunday gathering, you're one of my kind. Welcome to our 152nd Sunday gathering. If we haven't met yet, I'm Sandra Champlain, lovingly referred to as hostess with the mostest. I'm joined by my wonderful friends, Carrie McLeod, Phil Dykes, and Darren Wynn. And each week, we do our very best to help inspire and brighten and lift and celebrate the reality of life and the afterlife and just bring you some love. So today is no different. And Phil is our chairperson for today, meaning he created the music, the theme, and who's doing what. So I'm going to turn it over to him, let him explain what our Sunday gathering's all about. And there you go. Over to you, Phil.
Thank you, Sandra, for that wonderful welcome. Do you know what? Every Sunday, it excites me just to hear your voice, just to say that little bit, because it sets the tone, doesn't it? It lifts us all, whatever mood we're in. It absolutely just grabs us, and you're just an infectious personality that nobody can deny, just brings a smile to their face. And that is what the Sunday gathering was designed to do, because 152 weeks ago, we, or Darren and Sandra, decided to, oh, you know what, we'll do a Sunday gathering, we'll do a Sunday service, but it has to be different. And this Sunday service is no different. This gathering is no different, because it's about being individual. All those weeks ago, we said, we don't want to be like everybody else. We want to do it differently. We want to do something that people can join us. We don't want to do something that talks about religion. We want it to be free and open. Well, today, as I said, is no different, because I've changed things up a little bit. You can tell with the music so far, two wonderful artists that are now in the spirit world, unfortunately, because they were different. They were unique. They were individual. And that's what today's theme's about, individuality, being that true self, because if we don't, then we can never be happy, because we're always worried what other people think. So that's the reason behind the theme of individuality. But what I've decided to do to make it individual again is change the order of service. And I know there's a really special part within this service that a lot of people enjoy. And what I've done, I've wanted to pay real respect to it. And that's the healing section. And that's why I've asked Darren Wynn to do that section, because we all love how Darren speaks and how he comes across, how I call him Mr. Relatable. I don't think he actually knows that, but I call him because he talks about things we can all relate to. Well, actually, I thought, well, I'll give him the healing and I'll give him the words of the week and the closing prayer. So all that, ladies and gentlemen, will be right towards the end. So you can really bask within its power and within that healing balm. But also, I've listened to every single one of you that said that it is inspirational, the Sunday gathering, that it's the highlight of your week, and it starts you off the right way. So to the rest of the gathering, well, it's Miss Carrie McLeod sat at the side of me, who's going to be doing the opening prayer. The wonderful ecstatic Sandra Champlain with that wonderful voice. Then it's going to be myself and Carrie delivering the address and the mediumship before we move into that special part. But I also want to mention to you, the two artists you've just seen, there's another artist that you will absolutely agree with me on that has moved so many people, changed people's lives by being individual and unique. She didn't follow the normal patterns of the pop era or how music was done. She did things that made her happy. That made her individual, unique and remembered. Because, ladies and gentlemen, how we feel or what makes us feel a certain way, we remember. And I'm sure you'll agree that lady, when she sings, you'll remember her voice and remember everything she's done. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Carrie to do the opening prayer. But I'd also like to say thank you for all your wonderful messages, those donations that get sent in to Sandra to keep things running. It's absolutely without you that we can't keep this going. So thank you so, so much for that support, that positivity and your kind words. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Sandra, Darren, Phil. If we can enter into that silence and open in prayer. Divine and ever-present creative force of life, we sit within this silence, eager to sit once again within that power of the universe, within that power of the grace, that we know envelops us. This Sunday gathering holds more for each of us than perhaps we're aware of. So as we move through the minutes and the hours to come, may we be reminded of just how much we matter. May we be reassured to follow our own path of individuality. And may we always know that being the individual, although sometimes challenging, is always rewarding. So today, spend some time recognizing that individuality within you, for we know a group of individuals together can make a difference. We leave this gathering within that umbrella and under that name of We Don't Die, the spirit world. Amen.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Anybody else in a good mood? I tell you, about an hour ago, I was just feeling blah, too many things to do. And then no sooner the Sunday gathering starts, it's like, wow, great. Anyways, my reading today, because it's on individuality, I could do anything I want to do. So what I decided to do is, see this? That's my book, right? We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. And many of you know that I wrote it to talk about the afterlife and also some things about grief, but also it's a handbook for living. It's something I refer to not often enough to remind me of who we are as human beings. So I thought I'd read a little bit from my book. Okay. Now this is a part just to show you just how amazing we are and how amazing our human bodies are. Did you know that every day your body produces 300 billion new cells? Now 300 million cells die in your body every minute. And while that sounds like a lot, it's really just a tiny little fraction of the cells that are in our human body. Estimates have placed that the number of cells in the body can be anywhere from 30 to 50 trillion. So you can afford to lose a few 100 million without a hitch. Now, our brain has about 100 billion nerve cells. These cells can hold 5 times as much information as the Encyclopedia Britannica, or any encyclopedia for that matter. Scientists have yet to settle on a definitive amount, but the storage capacity of that brain you have up there is thought in terms to be up to 1,000 terabytes. Now that's a lot. The National Archives of Britain, containing over 900 years of history, would use about 70 terabytes, making your brain's memory of up to 1,000 terabytes pretty darn impressive. You feeling special? You feeling great that you're in this body and mind? You should be. Now, we each have about 45 miles of nerves in our skin. Wow. Nerve impulses to and from your brain travel as fast as 170 miles per hour. That's 274 kilometers per hour. It's pretty darn fast. Your heart will beat 3 billion times in your lifetime and pump 48 million gallons of blood. That's a lot, isn't it? Your brain operates on the same amount of power as a 10-watt light bulb. And did you know that your brain is much more active at night than it is during the day? Your body is estimated to have 60,000 miles of blood vessels. So if you want to put that in perspective, the distance around the Earth is about 25,000 miles, making the distance your blood vessels could travel, if they were laid out end to end, more than 2 times around planet Earth. Scientists have counted over 500 different functions of our liver. Who would have thought? You may not think much about your liver, except for maybe after a long night of drinking, but the liver is one of the body's hardest working, largest, and busiest organs. Some of the functions your liver performs are production of bile, decomposition of red blood cells, plasma protein synthesis, and detoxification. Big words. Did you know that over 90% of our diseases are caused or complicated by stress? That high stress job that you have could be doing more than just wearing you down each day. Want to talk about our teeth? I know I've seen some beautiful smiles since I've tuned on to the Sunday gathering. The tooth is the only part of the human body that can't repair itself. Interesting. The outer layer of the tooth is enamel, which is not a living tissue. So since it's not alive, it can't repair itself, leaving, of course, the work to our favorite dentists. Did you know that the bones in your body are stronger than some steel? Of course, your bones can still break, but pound for pound, bone is stronger than steel. Now, here's a fun fact you may or may not know. The length from your wrist to your elbow is the same as the length of your foot. How about that? On average, we each breathe 23,000 times a day. And did you know, we humans do not see with our eyes, we see with our brains. The eyes are only cameras of the brain. On average, you speak almost 5,000 words a day. Although, did you know 80% of our speaking, we're talking to ourselves? Now, let me ask you, how do you feel right now? Are you feeling special? Are you feeling unique? Well, you should. We're in a high performance energy vehicle right now. And out of the 7.7 billion people currently on planet Earth right now, you are the only you. If there was 1 grain of rice for every human on the planet, you would be 1 grain in one of the 61,000 gallon containers filled with rice. So that puts it in perspective just how many of us are on the planet right now. Now, as humans, we live our lives like everything is real, don't we? The relationships we have, our jobs, our home, our clothes, everything just seems so real to us. Why do we think that they're so real? Because we can see, touch, smell, taste, and hear. Our 5 senses tell us what is real and what is not. Our senses lead us to perceive the reality of the experience. So when we perceive something through our senses, it must be true, right? Must be. There are a couple problems with that. Our human brains process only about 2,000 bits of information per second through our senses. Now that may seem like a lot, right? But it is not, because every second there are 400 billion bits of information occurring in the world around us. Have you ever noticed that you and a friend witnessed the same exact event, but their description is not the same as yours? Well, their mind simply did not pick up the same 2,000 bits that yours did. So why did I choose to share all of this with you today? Are you wondering? Well, yes, it is most definitely to show you how amazing you are, but also to appreciate the individuality of your fellow travelers. Appreciate their journeys. Appreciate their points of view. Be gentle on yourself and on them. And as I'm closed right now, I'm going to just say one thing. If you forget everything that I just said to you, the next time you look at another person, or you catch a glimpse of yourself in your reflection, maybe in the mirror, I'm going to ask you, be gentle on yourself and look at yourself through the eyes of love. You, my friend, are magnificent. Thank you. Over to Carrie and Phil.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And as if by magic, and we got this way back in 2018, and it's signed on the inside. It's a little personal message there from Sandra. She'll not remember what she wrote, but it's come true. So thank you very much for our book, and it is a worthwhile read. And when we first met Sandra, we saw that she was individual. She saw that she didn't follow the flock, that she did go her own way, and that path had been somewhat different for her, as all our paths are. But when we sat down with Scott and Darren and Sandra and Phil and I, and we spoke about our histories, our backgrounds, we realized that Sandra's background was one that didn't come with soft edges. It didn't come with an easy path. And you might be saying, well, actually, that's like me. Well, I hope so, because every path is individual and every path isn't necessarily the easiest path to take. Becoming the individual actually moves in stages, and those stages are not necessarily easy. But I know that I've got Sandra's book here. It was just behind me in the bookshelf, but I've actually got another book here, and it's called The 5 Levels of Attachment by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. Lovely read. So I'm going to speak a little bit about the 5 levels of attachment, because it's something that we go through on the way to being individual. And when I read that, it made such sense to me. It didn't make it any easier, my path. It didn't make things easier to work through, but it gave me a bit of insight. So I'm going to share some of it with you. So I'm going to imagine, even if you hate sport, I'm going to ask you to imagine you're a soccer or football fan. Okay, so at level 1 of attachment, you can take or leave going to the soccer or football game. I'm going to call it football because it feels more right for me. But if you call it soccer, imagine me saying that. So you go to a football game and you are not attached to the outcome, but you're in the moment. You're enjoying just being there, watching the players show their skill. You're observing the referee. You're timing how quickly people run from one edge to the other of the pitch. You're watching it and you're enjoying it. You're not attached to it at all. Level 2 attachment is you've watched it, but you're rooting for your own team. You kind of wish they're going to win. And you feel a little bit of pride when they do, almost like because you were there, you were their lucky mascot, and that's why they won. So you're slightly more attached to them. If we look at level 3, you're a committed fan. You go everywhere. You tell everybody, I'm the committed fan. I go to all the games. I've not missed one in such a long time. You know the colours that they wear. They know when they've got their home colours and their away colours. You know when they're playing home and when they're playing away. You know how many games of the season are left, and you know where they are in the league and their points. So you're a little bit more attached to it. If we move to level 4, you're internalising it. When they win, you feel fantastic. When they lose, you feel kind of down. So you internalise everything. When you're on the side watching the football game, you're cursing the player that misses the ball. And you're praising the person that gets the goal. I almost sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Almost, yes.
You know their colours. You're wearing the colours. You're internalising everything about that football game and the team. When you get to level 5 of attachment, you have so internalised that you identify. You identify with that team until the opposite team's fans are the enemy. The colours you wouldn't be seen dead in. You would happily stand on the other side of a path and shout at the opposite team that they don't know what they're talking about because their team are rubbish. Sound familiar?
Yes.
Those 5 levels of attachment play out through the whole world. They relate to friendships, groups of friends, groups of colleagues, countries, populations, religions, communities, countries. politicians, political parties. They relate to everything. We are related in some ways to the outcome of something. Now, whether we identify at level 1 or 5, it's more important in that moment that we accept that what our level of attachment is. Now, you might be scratching your head going, well, well, you might feel really attached to a political party or a religion or a group of people. But we can move from level 5 to level 1. And some would say that moving from level 5 to level 1 is spiritual development. When we move from over-identified, some would call it fanaticism, to being self, the authentic self, of having an individual view of something, liking something, but not being affected if it goes your way or not. If we look at things such as tribes, groups, communities, everybody wants to feel part of a community. It's part of the human race. It's part of us, is to feel part of a community. I like being part of this community, and you're here, so I would imagine you like being part of this community. But being attached to the outcome of what happens, or if somebody says something that you don't agree with and having a huge adverse reaction for you, might show how attached you are to whatever we happen to be speaking about. Level 1 of attachment means that we can be the observer. We can be in the moment. We can take everybody's view and not feel like our own view has been hindered or affected, or our rights infringed in any way. We have very many friends with different views on politics, on religion, on the way the world should be run, on how freedom should be expressed, freedom of identification, freedom of speech, freedom to do lots of things. Everybody has a right to their view, and everybody has a right to a freedom. How attached we are to ours will show in how we speak about things. Now, anybody can say to me, spirit world doesn't exist, mediums are cuckoo, mediums are mind readers, there's no such thing, I'm losing my mind. I have no attachment to their need to understand me, because I understand me. I'm not attached to anybody else having my view, because I've always had my view. What things are you attached to that you might want to have a different view on or progress on? It means leaving some things behind, maybe leaving some views behind, some situations, some places, and in some cases, some people. But to move from level 5 attachment, where it affects us at such a deep level that we feel we've lost something, to be at level 1 attachment of feeling free, of having a view, of not feeling that anything's been taken away, requires for us to see everybody else as a level 1, as authentic, as individual, and to not try to coerce them to believe what you believe. Wouldn't that make a world worth living in if we all saw each other as individuals?
What a delightful question to finish on. Just to ponder and wonder about all those things that Carrie said. I'm still in the football. I know which one I am. Every time giving it away a little bit, but every time they win, it's we win, we've won. And Carrie says, you've won, you scored. I went, no, but my team has scored. So I can understand where I'm attached, and it made me giggle. But it's really good, isn't it? Because we've heard Sandra speak and we've heard Carrie speak. And their individual perceptions and voices do wonders for us. Because I don't know about you, but when Sandra was talking, I was picturing myself in a different part of the world where I had a memory of Epcot. And you'll know the ride probably when you sit on those seats and it goes all the way around and it tells you all about the science of the world and how computers work. But I thought to myself, as Sandra was talking, and all the facts and all the data about the human body, I was transfixed. Her individual way of speaking to us is unique. And we shouldn't lose that uniqueness in all of us. Some of us might think we have flaws, that we're inefficient or useless at some point. Well, actually, those flaws could be a great gift in disguise, because individuality is about acceptance. Acceptance, not of other people's thoughts and opinions, but of your own. And not just the bits that you like or your favorite bits about yourself, but everything about you, even the bits you don't like or you don't see as a strength, those flaws I've just talked about. The more that we can accept self, then we'll find a truth of how to live life, what makes us happy. Because, do you know, you being individual makes you happy, makes you unique. Because if we listen to everybody else, we'll never be truly who we are. We'll always be living somebody else's perception or social dogma. You know, in life, we look at people and we say, not being judgmental, but they would suit a certain type of job, or they would suit a certain type of role. That's common perception. And actually being individual is letting go and having the freedom, as Carrie talked about, to be the individual, to live life as you should. Because the more that we experience, the more that we sample in life, the more that we can find ourselves. And that doesn't mean that we have to dress differently, have a different hairstyle, even if you've not got any hair, all kinds of things. We just have to be who we are, do what makes us happy, act in a way that we feel good about. And if we're honest, and I can be quite honest, sometimes I want to act the child, I want to act the young kid. I just want that simple, immature, toilet humor. I love being with my father-in-law because he has the same kind of sense of humor, toilet jokes and everything else. And sometimes they're inappropriate, but sometimes they break the ice. And sometimes we need that. So actually being true to who you are is valuable, important to everybody that's in your presence, because you're reminding them how to live. You're reminding them of simple things that make us happy, simple things that can change our lives. But actually, it's the simple things that make us understand where we come from, understand where we want to go. Because if we didn't have these understandings, how would we have the dreams? How would we have those potentials that we want to meet, those potentials that we want to achieve? And it's through your own individual thought that you achieve them. Wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same in life? Let's talk about spirituality. There's many books out there that tell you about how you should live and how you should practice. But actually, if we all did the same, it wouldn't be very special, would it? It is special to us, but it's our own unique individual perception. I've been working as a medium for the best part of 25 years. But just because I say I'm a medium doesn't mean that I'm just that one essence of a faction, of a modality, of an ability. I have an interesting, scientific and curious mindset that makes me look at mediumship maybe differently from everybody else. And it makes me think that all mediums, all spiritual people have that individuality. They see things so different. And if you search the internet, or if you go to another gathering or another demonstration, there'll be another medium that will work in a very unique way and gain evidence to the mindset of their understanding. And that to me is about individuality. And it's something that myself and Carrie have done over time, many, many times with the students. where we'll line them up and say, this is going to be your recipient. You're going to be the 6 mediums working, and you're going to bring the same person through, communicate and blend with them. Each of them is so unique in their evidence they give. They have a different perception. Even if the topic is the same they talk about, it's that individual perception that they see and they talk and they express. Now that to me is magnificent because it's individual. Now, as you all sit at home, you'll be probably thinking of certain different parts of your life or experiences or what may be going on for you right now. That's how unique you are. You're hearing my words, a one-dimensional conversation where I'm speaking and getting you to think. But your mind at this moment is going to certain different elements or experiences within your life. But you're thinking differently. You're imagining differently. We all have this wonderful ability to daydream, to fantasize, to create a dream of a possibility of a life we could live. Well, what if we lived it? What if we took those steps to make the changes? What if we dared to be brave and take a step towards it? Because one thing we do know is if we don't do these things, we'll never know. If we don't ask the question, the answer will always be the same: no. So how about that we take those steps? How about that we make that difference? How about we speak our truths? Because if we did, then maybe we wouldn't have to hide behind other people's perceptions, other people's opinions. We won't have our self-limiting beliefs or triggers or insecurities being touched in some way and heighten them and believing that's who we are. If we go back to the start of the Sunday gathering just this evening, today, we had Amy Winehouse and we had Don Hutchins from In Excess, both in the spirit world, both unique talents in different ways, both being true to who they were, not living by conventional ways, not singing conventional songs. In a few moments, you're going to hear another lady that didn't follow that either, did things her way, used her voice in a particular way. And even within her career, people said she'll never hit that note again, that high again. But boy, were they wrong, because she did. And she did things with her voice that no other artist can still do today. It's that individuality that we all have. Being true to who we are doesn't mean that we're running with popularity or following the flock. You're standing true to what you see. You're standing true to who you are, and you're representing what your life is all about. So if I ask you one thing, what is it that you're going to do? What is it that you're going to change? What is it that you're going to do in this moment that is going to make those changes for you to meet that potential, to change your life, to be that individual? I was told when I was younger that I had to get a job, that I had to provide, that I had to earn money. Yes, we all do. But a certain part of me resented it. Not that because I didn't want to work, it's because I didn't want to follow conventions, but also because I was told to do it. So now, even through my own development, where mediums are expected to be certain ways, give certain types of evidence, I've done it my way. And I ain't going to sing you Frank Sinatra, not a chance. You'd all turn off your screens and your sound. But actually, we've got to do it our way and do it the way that we see it. And it won't be for everybody. Believe it or not everyone may like me or like any other medium. We have to choose and find what resonates with us. So my thoughts are, what are you going to do to take those steps in creating change to live your true individual self?
Well, we can't give you a round of applause that you'll hear, but if anyone wants to press their raise hand button as a thank you to Carrie and Phil, oh, you guys, you could do this. Thank you for such beautiful, beautiful words. We are feeling individual, aren't we? Well, now we're going to move into the spirit world, because I said there's about 7.7 billion people on planet Earth. There's actually about 150 billion souls in the unseen world, in the spirit world, all with their own personality and love, cheering on us that are here on planet Earth. If you've not been with us before on our Sunday gathering, this is a beautiful opportunity to hear some words from friends in the spirit world. Now, I am of personal belief that the messages that come through, we can all pull towards ourselves, that there is absolute gold in them, letting us all know that the afterlife is real and that all of our loved ones go on. We usually have about 200 people live on our Zoom room, and I know probably each and every one of us is hoping our loved ones come through. While there is a handful of loved ones that come through, letting us know that the spirit world is real and they're right by our side, obviously not everyone's loved one comes through. But I want you to know, on behalf of Carrie and Phil and Darren, we know your loved ones are by your side. They're cheering you on. They speak to you in your dreams sometimes when you just feel those little thoughts of them, or a smell of cologne, or grandma's favorite baked good, or just this little memory that you have of them. You know, those are all little ways they let you know that they're still here with you. So please don't feel like if your loved one doesn't come through on a Sunday that they're not with you. Just, it could be the farthest from the truth. The folks that come through today are representatives of all of the love that's with each and every one of us right now. So Carrie and Phil are our mediums, and they have been trained for an awfully long time. They do training now and have trained mediums for an awfully long time. And they have a wonderful commitment, not only to us here on this earth, but to loved ones, that their voice gets heard again. See, we still have a mouth. We still have hands. We can text and type and write. They don't have that in the spirit world, so it is more difficult for them to come through. So Carrie and Phil give the spirit people an opportunity to say hello. And they are still people, by the way. We don't turn into balls of energy. We get to pick our best age, our best height, best weight, glasses, no glasses, age, you name it, you can have it. Isn't that nice? I think so. You'll hear Carrie or Phil give a few initial bits of information about the person in the spirit world. We do want you to be on the edge of your seat and listen, like, could this be my person? If you can recognize every bit of information that they share about the spirit person that stepped forward to work with them, we want you to press your raise hand button. Now, I know I just asked everybody to press your raise hand button, but if you feel like doing it again and see how it works on your side, go right ahead and do that. They'll say raise hand, then you press it, and then it'll say lower hand. You press it again to put your hand down. And always a warning to our friends that are multitasking or out for a walk. Sometimes you may press your raise hand button without knowing it. So just keep an eye on that, okay? If you are the person that ends up working with Carrie or Phil, just a few things you need to know. First, I will press a button on my side that you'll get something on your screen that says, host would like you to unmute yourself. We need to hear your voice. We like to hear your voice. We love to hear your voice. We don't need your camera on, so don't worry about that. When they deliver the information, we want them to work. And what I mean is we want them to be working with the spirit world, using their voice to deliver different bits of evidence to you. All we need you to do is say yes or no to the information that they're giving. Perhaps an I don't know. We human beings get very excited and we want to share, even though we're told not to. You'll hear it on Sundays sometimes. People want to volunteer information. Please don't do that. We want everybody to know that it's the spirit world working with Carrie and Phil, bringing through this information. Of course, you can share about it later with us, but not during the event. And definitely don't put anything in the chat box about your loved ones, okay? Deal? Okay. That's how this works. And I really do encourage everyone, even if it isn't your loved one coming through, listen to the evidence, listen to hear just how close our loved ones really are and how they witness things going on in our life. Listen to some of the messages that come through, because so many of them are just things we can pull forward towards ourselves, things that we could use for ourselves. So our Sunday gatherings, the words that Carrie and Phil and Darren and I share are meant for, the 200-ish people that are with us live, but then several thousand people watch our Sunday gathering. It's for them too, or you too, who's watching right now on the replay. Same thing with the spirit world. These messages that come through are for everybody, okay? So with that, we always like to play a feel-good piece of music. Phil's done a little hinting as who it may be. I don't know if you know who it is, but you'll know in just a second. Sit back, relax, enjoy the song, sing it if you know it, sway back and forth, dance if you want to. Imagine your loved ones all here with you, those that are walking on planet Earth and those that aren't anymore. They're still very much alive. So this song is our celebration before we hear from our first medium. Love Whitney. Love Carrie too. Hi, Carrie.
Hello, Sandra. Hi, Darren, Phil. What a lovely choice of music. What a lovely theme as well. It is an absolute pleasure to be here and for things to be different. And I think there might be more of being different up our sleeves, team. Would you agree? Because it is about being individual. So thank you very much for the theme, Phil. I know you've outlined everything people need to know, Sandra, so there's no excuse for not hitting that raise hand button if the information fits you, because information is just that until I can get to the person, and only then does it become evidence. So I know that there is I know that I have Dad here, and I know that there's a great sense with, I know I've got Dad here, and he's just disagreed with something I've said. He says it is only evidence if there's no spirit person there, and I'm definitely here. So I've just been corrected. I know that their Dad would be, I know Dad is in the spirit world, and I know he wouldn't mind correcting people and in public. I do know he's a stickler for the rules. I do know he's a stickler with how things are done. I know that he knew that I actually feel like he would have been a driving instructor, because I know that I've got all this manual for driving and the highway code or the equivalent in your own country. Somebody here must know Dad in the spirit world who was a driving instructor.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, who's she talking about? Go ahead and press your raise hand button. Got Maria with her hand up. If you could press your unmute button there. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Maria.
Could it be father-in-law?
It could be father-in-law. Let me check the personality with you, Maria. Would your father-in-law have, he wouldn't have minded correcting somebody and chastising them in front of everybody?
I agree.
Because he told me off, I verbalized, so you guys know what he's done. But it's like, tut, 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 you were only teaching that yesterday, and suddenly you've forgotten it, Carrie. So he would have been very much about the rules and about following the correct procedure. But I know with your dad, with your father-in-law, him being the driving instructor, nobody would have been able to drive as well as him.
I agree.
Because I feel like he would have been in the car with you and would have questioned the way you were driving.
It has not been me.
Okay, then you would have witnessed, just like you would have witnessed him being in the car with somebody and saying that they weren't doing things in the correct order.
No, not actually.
Then, Mara, you would know stories of when people have spoken about him.
I have heard.
Because I very much know that he is given this impression that he would correct people. I know too, Maria, that your father-in-law would have had towards the end of his life a moment where he completely withdrew.
Yes, I can understand that.
Because as he is with me here, he's forward and he's out and he's correcting and he's quite adamant.
Mm.
And then there's this withdrawing. And I know that this period of his life would have posed a lot of difficulties for him and also the family.
I can take that, yes.
Because I know that this period in his life would have been very much about, he was misunderstood, Maria.
Maybe, yes.
Oh, we've gone from, I can understand that, to maybe. Let me work with him here. Let me help him explain. With your father-in-law, I do feel that he was misunderstood by many.
By some, very, yes. By
Okay,
some.
because I feel like he was so outspoken that it would have rubbed people up the wrong way.
Yes,
And I know that these people would have been in the family as well.
yes.
And I know within his family, he wouldn't have had an issue about being bothered that they were not his friends anymore or wanting to speak to him.
No.
No, I'm wrong, or no, I'm right?
I didn't get your,
Okay. He wouldn't have been bothered that he lost contact with people.
yes.
Okay, because I know within him there's a sense of, you take me as I come. There is this sense of no apology. But I also know, Maria, that as your father-in-law, he would have had difficulties connecting with his own children.
Yes,
Because all of this leads me to this place of knowing where he wants to speak about. I know that you would have in some way stood up for your father-in-law.
yes.
Because there's this gratitude from your father-in-law that says, thank you for defending me because you understood me.
Thank you.
There's also at his funeral, there must have been some words that were exchanged between family members that you witnessed.
Yes, sure.
It's his way of acknowledging that he sees that he saw that, but also you would know that there has been or was disharmony about the will.
Yeah. Not that I have known of.
Then there you would know where certain things that that thought would go one way actually went to another way. Belongings.
Could be. Yes.
You would know with your father-in-law, he was well known for his jumpers, his sweatshirts.
I don't know about that.
You don't know, or is that a no?
You have a point. He was not
Then-
well known about them, but
Okay, then there must be part of his clothing that he was well known for that people still speak about.
yes.
Okay, I've just got the wrong piece of clothing there because he's giggling. He had a very low voice, your father-in-law.
Yes.
And I know there's a sense with him of not making apologies, not making excuses for who he is. And I know with his own siblings and family, there would have been disagreements that went back a long way.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Then this disagreement with his children must have gone back a long way.
Grandchildren, maybe.
Then, but it has to be long because I feel that there's
I really don't know. I really don't
there's
know.
a sense of it being, he could have corrected it much, much sooner. He should have corrected it much, much sooner.
Yes, I can take that.
That humility within him, that apology within him. I know it's recorded, so if you wish to get a recording from Sandra and share it to where it needs to go, there is an
Yes.
apology there, and there's an acceptance of, I should have been more aware of how I was
Yes.
affecting the greater family.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I know I was talking about the 5 levels of attachment, but I know your father-in-law would have been very attached to his own beliefs, and to drop these beliefs would have meant it would have been too much for him.
Yes, I can take that.
Please know that there's this respect for who you are and this acknowledgement of what you have done for the family following his departure to the spirit world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria, for allowing me to do that.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Oh, thank you both.
Okay. I'm looking for somebody in our audience who knows a lady in the spirit world, and you would have taken a trip to the UK and would have a photograph of you and this lady on London Bridge. And I know the ladies in the spirit world, and I know I need to be looking for somebody in my audience who would remember this photograph of London Bridge and having gone to London with a lady who is now in the spirit world.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, we have Yolanda with her hand raised. If you could press your unmute button there. Hello.
Hi there. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Welcome.
Hi, Yolanda.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, you know a lady in the spirit world that you would have gone to London with,
Yes,
and you would have had this photograph taken on London Bridge,
yes,
and your friend would have been meticulous in photographs of everything, so it feels like you and her would have stopped every couple of moments to take photographs.
yes,
And I know your friend would have been so excited to be there.
yes,
And I get the sense with her that she would have talked about this again and again and again and again, non-stop.
yes.
There must be a funny story, Yolanda, where you stayed in the hotel and it wasn't quite what you thought it was going to be.
Yes,
Because I know your friend, I know Phil and I went to London and we had an experience in a hotel. I'm not saying it's the same experience, but I know it wasn't quite up to the mark.
yes,
But I need to say your friend was very aware of not wanting to make a fuss.
that's right.
And I know there's a sense with her of, no, don't make a fuss here. And I know your friend would have also tipped, even though the service wasn't great, she tipped.
Yes,
Your friend too, Yolanda, there must have been an occasion where your friend went for a wander and you and her went your different ways just for a period of time.
yeah, possibly.
Oh, possibly. Okay, then if that's not right, Yolanda, then you must have gone with your friend to a place that you weren't bothered about, but she was adamant she wanted to go to.
Yes,
And it feels like it's on the South Bank.
that's right.
Okay, because I know her eyes are bursting and exciting, but I know I get the sense from her like she felt like she was dragging you along.
Yes,
And I know your friend must have had an eye for colour and for architecture and for detail.
yes, definitely.
And I need to say it feels like she wanted to go to oh goodness, I don't need my brain when I do this, but on the South Bank you've got the museums, you've got the art galleries, you've got all those historic places that she would have definitely wanted to go to.
Yes, definitely.
And I know I can see, because I've been to that building, I just can't remember the name. You must have gone in and went up onto the balcony of a building and looked out onto the river.
Yes,
And I know that she gives me memories of you and her walking along the South Bank and seeing the artists and such that were performing on the South Bank.
definitely. Yeah.
And she must have had a caricature done of her as well.
No, thinking about it, but no.
Okay, then, because I know she shows me you walking past those people that did the caricatures, but I also know that there would have been okay, when you went on the tube, it's a long time since I've been in London, but I know she brings my awareness to being down the tube station and there being an encounter on one of these platforms.
Not that I remember.
Yolanda, would you know of a young person that passed in an accident as well?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just seeing where they're bringing it in, because I know your friend brings in that the other person you know to be acknowledged and to be recognized. They're showing me it in a strange way, but I know your friend is bringing in that other person. I know your friend has this deep respect for you, but I get the sense that she would tease you and you would tease her as well. There's just such, we would call it a banter between you.
Yes.
But you must have known each other for a period of time.
This is the only issue. It's not a friend, it's actually my mum.
Okay. This other person that passed Yolanda, would that be a friend of yours in the accident?
No, family member.
Okay. Then
But
if I've got
different.
I've got the relationship wrong, look, Yolanda, you would know that with your mum, because she feels to me like you were like this.
Yeah, we were.
Very close. And
Yeah.
although you're saying it's mum, I'm not saying that I don't feel her as that, but I feel her like she wanted to be the same age as you, that she was exploring a new set of eyes. And I know that there was a particular interest in going to London with your mum, a particular interest for her.
Yes.
It was almost a seeking and searching expedition for your mum.
Yes.
And I know your mum got some of her answers, but not all of them.
That's right.
And I know after she got home, some of the answers came afterwards, after further research.
Yeah.
I also acknowledge that your mum gives me this impression that you have subsequently found out even more since your mum's passing.
Yes, I did.
This is your mum's way of saying she hasn't forgotten. Those memories are so, so close to her. This appreciation of art and of architecture and on museums and modern art, the modern tape, modern, blah, blah, you know what I mean, Yolanda, because that's very much in my mind, and that's the building that I'm seeing. Please know that it's very, very special for her. And I feel that this particular holiday means so much because there must have been a change with your mum after that holiday, just after.
Yes.
Okay, this is your mum's way of saying, remember me that way, not what happened afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to leave that with you, Yolanda, and thank you very much for working with me.
Thank you, Carrie.
Oh, thank you, Yolanda. Thank you, Carrie.
I'm going to say thank you very much, and I'm going to pass it over to Phil.
Pass it over. Thank you so much, Carrie. Ladies and gentlemen, you can feel just how close they are, their memories. They're still with us. They're right here.
They very much are. It's lovely to, I've got to be honest, I was really engrossed in that last contact, picturing the things that were given as evidence. It's absolutely wonderful to see that level of objective information, evidence being given there to prove that our loved ones are with us. So my job, ladies and gentlemen, is to follow on from Carrie. Good evening, Sandra. It's lovely to speak to you. I was just completely engrossed then, so I forgot to say hello to you as well.
Hello.
Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to go with this. I know here I want to talk about Mum in the spirit world, but I know I want to talk to the person that went with Mum to Turkey for a holiday, and I feel I want to be looking at going to Athens in particular with Mum, and I've got this feeling it was an unusual holiday or an unusual place. I've just got that feeling of Turkey though with it.
Thank you, Phil. All right, ladies and gentlemen, who understands this information? The trip to Turkey. We are waiting. No hands are up just yet.
That's absolutely fine. Then if I'm going to look at this a different way, and just for a second, then I want Mum in the spirit world, but I do want to, the recipient I know has been to Turkey, and I do believe it was Athens in particular.
So it doesn't have to be with the mother.
Doesn't have to be with the mother, because I can just get that little bit wrong. And I want to have a look at this just for a second.
Sophia has her hand raised. All right, Sophia.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Sophia. So you understand Mum in the spirit world, but you understand that your mum didn't go with you to Greece.
That is correct.
That's fine, okay. But where you went, would I be right in saying it was Athens or the centre?
Yes, I've been to Athens, the center.
That's fine. Because I kept on seeing, and forgive me, I know there's ruins there and everything. I kept on seeing that. But would you understand where your mum would have been fascinated with that area?
Yes. Oh,
Because I just feel with Mum, she's fascinated about it. But it would have been like an unusual holiday, not somewhere where you would have gone to normally.
I traveled frequently.
Okay, but right, okay. So do you understand where Mum was fascinated with your travels, though?
Definitely.
Because I know here it's almost where I'm looking at the mistake I made, and it just feels where she was fascinated with everything you do, and she must have followed you quite intensely where you traveled.
Yes, she did.
And it's almost she wants an update on how things went, what it was like, what the people were like.
Yes.
And it's almost where you've got to bring her back a souvenir as well.
Always did.
Because I know here, but it's got to be unusual. It can't be a touristy thing. It has to be something unusual.
I did, yes.
Okay. And would I be right in saying you used to bring her fridge magnets back as well?
Can't remember that.
But do you understand where these were things that had the name on of the place that you went to?
They might have. I don't remember exactly.
Okay, because it feels like Mum wanted a collection because she was so proud of this.
Oh, yes.
That's fine, because I know it's just how Mum comes through with me. But I also know that Mum was a very, how can I put this? I want to say very family orientated. It's almost like she had this real interest in what people were getting up to.
Yes.
And it's almost where if something was going wrong, she wanted to get in and help and solve and find those solutions.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, because it's almost she can't help herself. She's so excited, and in a way, she didn't have the opportunities that you have.
Correct. Yes.
And it just feels here where she lived within. If I said she was a very personable lady, it was all about life and personal interactions with family.
Yes.
Because it feels I want to sit down, I want to talk to you, I want to understand as well. But you must have taken photographs of everywhere you went.
Oh, yes, everywhere.
Because it feels I want to sit down with you and go through the photographs.
Yes.
And it feels where I'm not just happy with seeing them, I want you to explain them to me.
Yes.
And there must have been trips that you went to, not just Athens, but capitals of other countries.
Yes.
And would I be right in saying you went to Germany, Berlin?
I've not been to Berlin. I've been to Germany.
You've been to Germany. But would you understand in Germany, you took photographs walking down the side of a river?
I don't remember that.
Because I know here there should be photographs with rivers included within the cities and things.
Oh, I took a lot of photographs off of through a train window.
That's fine.
in
That's
Germany.
fine, because I know here, I can't change what she's showing me, but I know the photographs of rivers and things. So I know it's all about the memory, but I know it's about walking her through everything that you did, because she was so interested and wanted to know everything.
Yes, she was that interested.
And it just feels we're in her way, by her doing that, she had this wonderful way of making people feel so special and listened to.
Well, that's true.
And again, it's almost where that sense is she still wants you to know, and this is why she's brought out Turkey, just to show that she's still around and watching it as well. But you must still keep all those photographs.
Oh yeah, they're somewhere.
And you show them to other people as well.
No, not lately.
Not, I never said lately, but you have shown them to other people.
Yes.
Because I know here it's her way of saying, I'm still with you, I'm still watching, I'm still listening as well. So I know there's this sense of her being around. But I also know she, even though she comes across very warming, I know she could be a private lady as well.
Definitely. Yes, that too.
And this, okay, and I know also there's a sense of pride with her. And again, it's almost where she doesn't want to talk about herself. She just wants to talk and find out about everybody else.
Yes.
And it's not that she's nosy. She has a genuine interest in what people are doing. And it's almost like she's exposing herself to different individual experiences and knowledge.
Yes, yes.
And I want to say, you must have been told stories after she passed, where she shared your memories with other people.
I'm so sorry. Can you say that again?
That's fine. Don't worry about it. She must have shared memories of your experiences with other people, and you must have found this out after she passed.
Oh, yes, true. Very much.
Because I know she was ever so proud of you. And I want to say, because of these journeys, because of the memories you shared, you were the one that she had that real essence of life for. And I get to see that she saw different parts of the world through your eyes.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I want to leave her love with you, Sophie, knowing that she's still around you, sharing your experiences. And I know you still acknowledge her, and I know she wants you to know this as well. Excuse me.
Thank you.
So I'm going to leave her love with you, saying thank you very much, Sophie.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you both.
Okay.
Thank you all for listening, pulling the information towards yourself.
Okay. I'm just letting this contact, ladies and gentlemen, just settle with me, because there's something I've seen I've not quite understood. Okay. I think I've got this. I want to talk about a father in the spirit world, and I know he was a banker. Now, I'm not saying he worked behind the cash machines or behind it. I don't feel he did. I feel that he was high up within a bank or an organization to do with finances. And I also feel with him that he would have been quite, like I said, high up, but he would have had connections to Parliament or the Senate. I know there's that politician, that government feel with it as well. So somebody's got a dad in the spirit world that would have worked within a bank or that financial industry that had connections to their government.
Thank you, Phil. Well, we have Sue. Sue with her hand raised. Sue, if you could press your unmute button. Hello, Sue.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello, Sue. Long time no see.
It is.
Okay, I still can't see you, but I can hear your voice. So you understand everything I've said?
Yes.
Okay, and would you understand where it was a high end of that financial world that he worked in?
Yes.
And he would have worked with government officials or as well?
Occasionally, yes.
That's fine, because I know he's not the average banker or financial expert. But I also know that the way he looked was very important to him as well. He had to be smartly dressed.
Yes.
Because I just feel he's got that side to him that's always professional. And I want to say, even where he's not on duty working, he was always smartly dressed.
Yes.
And I also feel within manners and ethics are a really important faction within his personality as well.
Yes.
And doing things quite correctly and following the law and doing things as they should was also important to him.
Yes.
And I want to say that being around him was quite a positive experience with your dad, because I know he inspired others.
Definitely. Yes.
Because it just feels, and you would have seen this, where other people seem to buck up or be more positive around your dad.
Yes.
And I also know your dad could speak very well because he held everyone's attention.
Yes.
But I also know your dad had a wonderful way with words and a good relationship with words. As he spoke, he could paint a picture and people would really intensely listen.
Yes.
Would I also be right in saying your dad used to like museums and art?
Yes.
That's fine. That was a long yes. Okay.
Well,
But I know here it's almost like I want to tell you about different things in life, the facts, a little bit what Sandra did earlier about facts and knowledge. So I know your dad loved that sort of thing.
yes.
Because it feels like I want to impart my knowledge, my experiences of what I've learned as well. But I also feel within his industry, he must have traveled abroad as well.
Definitely. Yes.
Because it feels I want to tell you about the different countries I've been to and the different things that I've seen.
Yes.
And would I be right in saying that he went to Asia, that part of the world as well?
Yes.
Because it feels I want to go into like places like Hong Kong and places like that. And I'm fascinated with the culture. So I know your dad's mind was all about learning and experiencing.
Yes.
And I want to say he would be quite comfortable walking around a city he didn't know in just a quite smartly dressed, exploring and taking everything in.
I don't have direct knowledge of that, but I can imagine it.
Then would you understand your dad never changed in any circumstance? He was always the same.
Yes.
And the reason I'm saying, because I feel wherever he went, he was just the same, and he would treat people and be the same way wherever he went, because I know he had that honesty, that respect, and that understanding of others' opinions as well.
Definitely.
Because I know that was through and through him and within his business.
Yes.
Good. I know your dad's here, and I want to express how proud he is of you for keeping his legacy alive, because I feel you're very much like him.
Yes.
Because I know those ethics and morals and that experience when you meet others is exactly the same. And I know, I also know as well, you've been talking about your dad just recently.
Probably.
Not probably, because I know you were sharing a story, what he taught you. So, thank you. I know you still talk about him and use him as an example when you're explaining things to people of almost what he taught you in the way that you are.
Yes.
Okay. I know that I'm running short on time, Sue, because I know we've got the healing section to come. I want to leave your dad's love, but also with that pride and knowledge, but also not just in following in his footsteps, but also to have the same mindset of experiencing different cultures and traveling to see different parts of the world as well.
Thank you. Yes.
And I'm going to leave his love with you and say thank you very, very much for allowing me to do that, Sue.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to work on behalf of the spirit world, but I know there's an important part of the service coming up, which is that healing. And I'm going to hand over to Sandra and Aaron to take you through those moments.
Oh, thank you so much, Phil and Carrie, for your commitment to humanity on both sides. Just a few announcements before I turn it over to Darren for the healing. First of all, you can always find next week's registration and the replay at wedon'tdie.com. Just go to the Sunday Gathering page. That link that you just used to join us today becomes the replay link. Okay, just so you know, if anyone wants to share. Also coming up on Tuesday with Scott Milligan, we have Sitting in the Power. You may enjoy that. On Friday, we sit for healing, followed by a demonstration of trance mediumship. It's always quite special. Our new classes are open for March and April. We've got some great 6-week mediumship classes and a specialty class with Carrie and Phil. And of course, we have our monthly classes with Scott Milligan as well. Our tutors are traveling 2023. Carrie and Phil are heading to Vancouver soon. You can find their travels coming up at wedon'tdie.com. Again, that's the home base. Go to the store page and take a look around. What else do I have to say? Today is Sonia Rinaldi's birthday. For anyone who knows her or wants to send a positive thought her way, she is the subject of our documentary called Rinaldi, getting pictures and images of people in the afterlife. So you can send her a special thought. And yeah, last, I'll just want to say thank you. I know Phil mentioned this in the beginning, but thank you for your donations. It keeps us keeping on, and we appreciate that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Darren for our healing.
Thank you, Sandra, and a massive hello to all of you. It feels like I've been in another world. I've been sitting here watching and enjoying the whole of the gathering, and here I am talking now. My turn to talk. But we're going to go into our healing segment. And the song that Phil's chosen is called Blessings. And I'll be honest, I've never heard the song before, unless I've heard a different version and not, picked up on that I've heard it before. But when you listen to the words within the song, they're so true to today's, or to my life, I think. It talks about blessing, having blessing for everything around us and, being truly grateful for what we do have. And I know the other night I was laying in bed. We've just moved house, or we recently moved house. And every night we go to bed, if we have the window open, we can hear the owls in the trees talking to each other. And it's like, oh my God, how wonderful is that? You're laying here, listening to all the owls talk to each other. It's amazing to hear. And I know when I came on the gathering earlier, I think with Phil or someone said to me, how are you? And I said, you know what, today's been great. I've gone outside, the sun's shining, the birds are singing. And I thought, wow, sometimes we do need to be reminded, I know we all get busy, there's lots going on, but sometimes it's really nice to be reminded of what we truly have around us. How amazing is this world that we live in? We don't always see it all the time through, if you look at the news, what's going on in the world, sometimes we forget to see what's going on outside our own front door, the beauty and naturalness of all our surroundings. And I urge all of you at some point this week, no matter if it's rain, snow, no matter what the weather's like, take a look outside your window and see the beauty that surrounds you. But one of the lines in the song is, let the light shine through. And that's what we're going to do now for our healing segment. But we're going to let our light shine. We're going to come together as one and embellish ourselves within that healing power and allow that healing power to go to wherever it is needed. We want everyone to enjoy the natural beauty that's within our world and to enjoy the beauty of our world. So let's send that healing thought, that love and that healing power out to all those that may be in need at this time. When Phil chose the theme for this week, individuality, I got excited. You've probably heard me talk over previous Sunday gatherings about being unique, about being different, about being you. And I know Phil touched on the Sunday gathering. It originally came from mine and Sandra's discussions many, many years ago. It feels like an age ago now. Myself and Sandra, we've attended different conferences, events, meetings, groups, whatever. And we've said there's something they all have in common. They all seem to do the same thing. We went to one particular meeting, and it was where a prayer was read at the beginning. The prayer was, so we went to this one meeting, this prayer was read, the meeting was conducted, and several events and things happened throughout the meeting. We went to the second one, lo and behold, Out comes a bit of paper. Here comes a prayer again. It followed the same protocol. The people talking and conducting the meeting done exactly the same as the previous one. And by the third one, we said, I bet you this is what's said, this is how it's done. Lo and behold, here comes out the same sheet of paper, the same prayers read, the same. And we thought, how boring is this? You know, they're all doing the same thing, the same way. It's like robots. And I'm really passionate about everyone being their true selves and being who they're truly meant to be. And we kind of had this conversation about doing our own Sunday gathering. You know, how would we want that to look? How would we want it to be? And hopefully, I hope you guys all agree with me. There's 4 of us on this screen at the moment. There's Sandra, myself, Phil and Kerry. We're all different. We've all got different experiences, different knowledge, different understanding. So if we was to talk about the same thing, hopefully you would get a different spin on it. You'd get a different style. You'd get a whole different view on it. And that's what it should be, you know. And I'm on a committee at a school, and it's a Church of England school. And one day the vicar wasn't there. Lo and behold, out comes a bit of paper. And I can't stand that. It's like, you need to be yourself. The words need to come from you, whether it's a meeting, a prayer, a talk, no matter what it is. Unless you're actually doing a reading, then obviously you've got to read it. If you're acting, you've got to read lines. But apart from that, you should be the true person you're meant to be, not following what someone else tells you to do. And that's kind of how the Sunday gathering came about. We wanted to be different to everyone else. We wanted it to be fun, engaging, but done in a respectful way. And I hope you guys are getting that from all of us, because I'm sure you'll agree, we're all different people. We're all different. We all look different on camera. So when you watch Sandra, Phil, Kerry, myself, you're getting a completely different feel, a different vibe. And hopefully, and I always say every Sunday gathering is different, but we want it to be different. We don't want it to be the same, because it becomes boring. And, you know, sometimes I attend local churches and what have you, and they say the congregation's dwindling. We're getting less numbers. What's going on? Let me tell you what's going on. You're doing the same thing week in and week out. I wouldn't want to come and watch the same thing week in and week out. And I'm sure you guys wouldn't. I mean, we have large numbers attend these Sunday gatherings, but if we'd done the same thing week in and week out, I'm sure we wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to come and watch it, that's for sure. And I say to people, this is why you need to change. You need to do things different. And as you can tell, I'm a complete advocate for individuality. We all have to be different. And I know within our local town, I've ruffled feathers in the town council, because they're in charge of doing events and, you know, bits and pieces within our town. And Christmas time, that I looked at the schedule, what they wanted to do, and I thought, oh, God, here we go again. It's the same thing as last year and the year before, and the year before. I remember phoning him and said, what are you playing at? I said, all you've done is gone to the file, pulled out the file from last year and the year before. Let's just do the same old thing. And they were doing a competition. Whoever had the best dressed window or whatever it was, but it was the same person doing it. Everything was the same. Nothing was different. And I said, you know what? Exclude us. I don't want anything to do with it. It's boring. It's, you know, you need to be different. You need to be unique. And she was quite taken aback, this woman. She goes, really? I said, yes. You speak to other people, they've all got the same opinion. Whether they voice it or not, I don't know, but I'm voicing it. Take me, exclude me. I want nothing to do with it. Lo and behold, she did. Much to everyone's disgust. And like going around town, people are, oh, you've ruffled feathers with. No, I haven't. I've stood up to what I think and I value, you know, my values. You know, I don't want someone telling me you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Because like I've said before, it's the worst thing you can do. And I know Kerry's the same, and probably Phil and Sandra. You tell me to do something, I will do the complete opposite. And that's not me being antagonistic. That's me being me. Don't tell me how to do something when I can do it my own way and deliver it in my own way. So yes, but you know, sometimes I think individuality can be misconstrued, misunderstood for being antagonistic or whatever it may be. But I know we had a meeting this week with our local MP came to our traders meeting, and she, you know, she represents us in Parliament. And I said to her, so do you know what my one issue is? It's everyone is doing things the same way. Funny enough, we were talking about individualization. I said, and I went through my experience with the town council. I said, but we want to do this. We want to all have a part to play in that and do it our way, make it different, make it. And she goes, that's exactly what I've been talking about. And then after the meeting, we had a conversation, and everyone's asking her, you know, what about a political stance, what she stood for, what she wanted to do. And do you know what me and Scott asked her? How was President Zelensky? What was it like to talk to President Zelensky? And I think she was quite relieved, because we were different, you know, and that's how we should all behave. We should all be the person we're truly meant to be. Look at your friends. I'm looking at my friends on the screen now. Why are we friends? I ask myself. What attracts me to these people? And you guys can all do the same question with your friends. What attracts you to them? They're different. They bring a different spin on things. They bring fun. They bring excitement. And I think Phil touched it on his talk. Can you imagine if we all went out for dinner, had the same drink, had the same meal, wore the same clothes, spoke the same language, spoke the same accents, whatever it may be? Oh my God, you wouldn't want to go, would you? That'd be boring. But that's what makes, you know, look at the friends that you got around you. You're friends with them. Why? Probably because they're different. You know, I've got many friends of different religions, different faiths, and people always say you should never talk about religion and politics with your friends. Actually, I do. And I'm not, you know, and it's understanding their religion, because I think it's quite respectful to understand other people's religion and where they're coming from. And I say, oh, why'd you do this? Or what's this about? Or what? And they'll explain it to me, so I understand their point of view. And I think Kerry touched on it earlier. When you're being unique, it's not about just being a true person you're meant to be, but it's about allowing others to be that individual person as well. And by asking questions and interacting, you get to understand that, but without, you know, influencing your ideas on them. You know, you want them to be that unique person as well. So I've rabbited it off enough now. You can probably tell I'm passionate about uniqueness and individualism, but I cannot stress it enough. This world is an amazing place. You know, it's a wonderful place. You know, look at all the beauty we've got around us. And do you know what makes it more beautiful? Is you guys. You guys being the true, unique individuals you're truly meant to be. That's what makes it extra special. The cherry on top, if you like. You know, the world is wonderful, but you guys make it just as wonderful. So stand in your truth, stand up for who you're truly meant to be, and don't let anyone persuade you otherwise. Because like I said, it would be a boring place if it was. So thank you for listening to me. Now we're going to go into our closing prayer. So I'm all hyped up and excited. So if you'd all like to close your eyes and join me for the closing prayer. We'd like to thank our friends, brothers and sisters from across the world for uniting here together today as one and coming together in service under that banner of We Don't Die, and allowing us all to embrace ourselves in the joy and celebration of uniting the two worlds together as one. We'd like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to all those friends, helpers and loved ones in that world we call unseen for being here each and every Sunday, allowing these Sunday gatherings to take place and having the faith and the trust in us to deliver on behalf of your world and represent your world here today. We'd like to thank you for allowing us to embrace ourselves in that healing power and that unconditional love, and allowing us to hear those thoughts and those words pass through the minds of our workers here today, so each and every one of us can leave this Sunday gathering feeling joyous and uplifted. We'd like to thank you for the opportunity of representing your world here today, as each and every one of us deems it as a privilege and a pleasure to do so, and we truly hope we have done you a service and made you proud here today. As we bring this Sunday gathering to the close and allow the sun to set on this day, we go forward to the start of a new day and a new week, each and every one of us walking out individual and unique pathways, going forward with the courage and conviction to truly be the unique individual we're meant to be. And as we go forth this week, we ask that healing light continues to shine to all four corners of our world, to bring that joy and that happiness to all those hearts and minds that may be in need at this time. And we thank you, friends, from the bottom of our hearts. Amen.
Thank you all. Thank you for all the nice messages in the chat box too. We love you. Go sign up for next week. WeDon'tDie.com. Click on the Sunday Gathering page. You'll find the link. Lots of love. See you soon. Enjoy your week. And go be individual. Bye.